and higher precision manufacturing than was really needed. Consequently, the manufacturing process was quite time-consuming and expensive, so much so that demand due to combat losses and the expansion of the German armed forces could never keep pace with the demands for new production during the war, even after several new manufacturing centers including the main one run by Mauser AG Werke were established. A simpler, easier to produce GPMG appeared to be the only solution. The MG42 fired a 7.92mm round. With a muzzle velocity of 2,480 feet per second, the MG42's effective range was nearly 1,100 yards. The gun used a 50-round flexible metal belt feed, or, alternatively, a 75-round snail drum magazine. A full 50-round belt of ammo would be depleted in a 21 2-second burst, the 75-round drum in 31 2 seconds. To permit longer fire bursts, MG42 crews normally link together several 50-round belts. Ammunition boxes held 5 separate belts totaling 250 rounds per box. A good crew could shoot 250 rounds in 12.5 seconds of continuous fire, or 20 to 30 seconds by firing quick bursts. As good as the MG42 was, there were still complaints about its performance. First, unlike the MG34, it could not fire single shots. Another complaint that arose due to the high rate of fire was that during prolonged firing the gun tended to veer away from the target due to the vibration and even push its operator backward. Once the gun was set on its tripod, these problems vanished, and the MG42 became the perfect sustained fire support weapon. What's more, the tremendous rate of fire coming from the MG42 was considered by some to be a waste of ammunition. To counter that argument, others said that since a soldier, in the Germans' experience, only fired at an enemy he could see and time was fleeting, the more bullets directed at the enemy the greater chance for a kill. During the war a number of companies produced the MG42, although never in the numbers needed to keep up with the ever-increasing demand. These included Gustloff Werke and Sully, Mauser AG Werke and Borssigwald, Steyr in Vienna, Grossfuss in Dobell, and Magadan among them. 129 MG42s were made each day from 1942 through 1945. More than 400,000 units were produced, 17,915 in 1942, 116,725 in 1943, 211,806 in 1944, and 61,877 in 1945. Of course, even the best weapon has to be used appropriately for its battlefield capabilities to be fully realized. Fortunately for the Germans, and unfortunately for their opponents during World War II, the German Army formulated an effective machine gun doctrine and tactics. Unlike their American, British, Commonwealth, and Soviet adversaries, the Germans in World War II employed machine guns as their major infantry support weapons. The Allies used automatic weapons to support rifle-armed infantry. The German Army reversed the process, using infantry to support machine guns in combat. As a result, the standard German Army infantry company of 150 men in 1944 contained 15 MG42s, needing only 30 to 50 men to crew the lot. By contrast, only 2 light machine guns were assigned to each American foot company. Generally, German machine gun doctrine, both for defense and attack, stressed 5 basic points: surprise, fire and movement, coordination of firepower, conservation of ammunition, and alternate positions. In defense, the MG42 was usually employed with its tripod to act as a heavy machine gun. When German troops were surprised by an enemy attack, the weapon was often removed from the tripod and used as a light machine gun to counterattack the enemy assault. Acting as a heavy automatic weapon, the MG42 was usually sighted in concealed ground and manned by 2 gunners under the direction of a section leader. Reverse slopes were the preferred covered positions. The guns were only placed in their final fire position at the last moment before combat began. In attack and defense, MG42s were set up in areas where they could lay down enfilade and crossfire against any advancing enemy. During offensive operations, MG42s acting as heavy machine guns covered the deployment of friendly infantry from echelon positions sited on commanding terrain. In preparing for the attack of friendly forces, the MG42, firing from behind the friendly troops, aimed to smother enemy centers of resistance and deliver fire against opposing counterattacks. As advancing German soldiers moved forward, the supporting machine guns, acting as heavy weapons, followed from position to position in their weapon. In either attack or defense, the German rifleman's prime responsibility was to support the squad-operated machine gun. When the AMG-42 crew moved, the rifleman covered them with fire. When the AMG-42 set up, the rifleman dug foxholes for the machine gun crew while watching for the approach of enemy forces. When the AMG-42 opened fire,